Well,
Hello. There.
Well.
Sky, the way you cut out, that was just a very short screech.
Oh, I
Yeah.
said yeet, so
We got the E and nothing else.
Amazing.
we got
Alright,
Ew.
so who would like to recap the everything that was last time?
No.
it's fucked.
We went shopping.
Yeah.
You know,
Shopping.
what else are these characters gonna do? Advance the plot? Definitely not.
Well,
It, for some
Let
of
us
us, it's
have
been two
some-
straight sessions of shopping.
it was one session.
Okay,
No,
To
no,
be
no, no.
fair-
Between both sessions.
let us.
Between Shadow Threshold and this,
Oh my god, I
it's
forgot
been
about
shopping.
everything. Anyways,
It's been 2 shopping sessions.
Let us shop for nice things, because it was this time we weren't shopping for things that we generally needed as a party or a player. It was just things that looked cool, and it was awesome.
a couple things that I have plans for, and I'm very excited. Xenia emotionally needed all that spice.
I'm confused. Where is Ty talking?
In the Discord.
Commentary. Keep that one open.
Although Ty, just for the sake of recording, you might want to use Roll20. But I'll leave that up to you.
I think roll
Anyways,
20. I think commentary is for like out of character, off topic, and yeah, jokes.
Yep.
Anyhow, recap. Back to that. Very important things were shopped for, like bags
Flowers.
of holding, which are good. Spice rack of holding, which is gonna be fun.
One of my favorite magic items I've done in a while, by the way.
And a lot of pillows.
Yep.
And some flowers. We ran into the Duke outside. He's being escorted by a Genasi with a high healer symbol, who seemed polite, but maybe not totally genuine, given the description of the smile. I'm getting a little bit of feedback from somebody, I don't know who. And of course the Duke is invited to the Oasis, and of course there he meets the Rose One, which was fun!
Yeah. So many conversations that were never had.
Yeah. They probably happened, like, off camera.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, the things he was told. Especially because, remember, he can be in there as long as he wants.
Oh no, how long was he there?
If you had bothered to ask him, most people in there spent about a week just relaxing. And he was there for about 5-6 days.
Oh my god, no.
Remember, everyone's time perception was individual there.
Yeah.
Especially when you are sitting in front of the Rose One.
Okay. Yeah. So a week of conversation with an archfey that he had no idea had any association with his kid.
Nope.
Though on the happier side of things, a week of association with Esther's family, which I'm sure was just a blast.
Oh, they love him.
Good.
Anyhow,
I like your funny words, politics man.
You're not wrong. Fuck off.
I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you so much.
Esther asked Rosalind for a favor should the very, very worst happen. We lose her, we aren't able to get her back for whatever reason. She can't take care of Jade. So that's been promised. And after that, the Oasis magic finally came to an end, and the Rose One left. And at that point, the first event of the gathering began, which was basically a public forum speaking. And then Leo was there, up on the podium. Esther went up and was asked for some help in case what he had to offer or ask was insensitive. He opened a portal to the inner planes and made a general offer. Any Genasi can go there if they want to get away from oppression and war on this plane. And then he and Esther had a debate in order to persuade the crowd. I believe Esther actually squeaked out a win in that, technically. Going by the skills challenge.
He rolled.
Yeah.
He rolled poorly. He used good skills.
I had a fucking panic attack and like so fucking scared to lose that debate, man.
Ah, come on, D&D game about fun and enjoying yourself. Who would be stressed out by a D&D game?
anyhow, Ash just sensed the portal doesn't actually go to the plane of fire. Leo said it did, or at least he'd been told it did. Magic item made it. It was the little sigil of Leo. It gets identified, and it opens to a crossroads between the astral, fire, and the material as a checkpoint. Ostensibly, so that anybody who goes through can be checked for whether they're spies, infiltrators, not what they seem, anything like that. Anyhow, regardless, we get the portal closed down by Esther winning the debate. Leo actually looked proud for a moment, and is going to be there for the gathering for questions. A lot of questions were asked of Esther as well, and Ophiuchus is frequently named because Leo dropped that name in the hearing of so many Genasi, and of course they're going to discuss it. Esther made sure to put a plea out to the crowd not to say that name. I think she said it she didn't say the name, but I think she said the request to not say the name 3 times in the ensuing thing, just to make sure it stuck, I think.
Please don't say the name that shakes the earth.
Please don't say the name. Please don't. It's a bad thing to say the name.
I hate to inform you, when you say something and the ground shakes and you did not cast that spell, probably a bad thing.
And at that point, the Elder Council came out to see why nobody was actually listening or paying attention to them anymore, what had gathered all this attention. And we got invited to that tent for conversation of our own. It is going to be broadcast for public availability. Anybody who wants to listen can listen. So, anything said in that tent is going to be said to potentially the entire gathering, unless it's through Fane. So, that's where we left off.
Yep. So, as you are brought into the... do you have a specific name for the chamber in which all the council speaks? Okay.
Not in particularly, but before we go in there,
Okay.
Just as we're walking over, Esther is going to feign the rest of the group, and just what we are about to enter is an incredibly sacred place. So please treat these people with the respect that you would hold for how you treat Rosalind's father. The amount of power that these people hold over the entirety of the tribes is very great, and their opinions sway most of the members, for these are some of the most powerful people of the tribes. Please, I understand this is not your culture, but treat them with as much respect as you possibly can. There's no need to bow, no need to shake hands, there's nothing truly, unless obviously it's initiated. Just follow my lead, I suppose.
Okay.
And as you enter what, for now, I'm going to call basically the Senate of the Genasi, you can see central to the massive, almost Parthenon-style chamber, if the Parthenon had open walls, is a 3-tiered platform, in a way, with the central tier, as is standard with the rest of this area's construction, being the lowest down, most visible of all of them. Easily 500 to 700 feet across in any direction is the exterior of the chamber, and in the lowest there is just an open table for seemingly anyone to sit. It's an externally facing round table, made, like most things, of bone. On the second tier, you see about 40 empty seats, most of which are filled by the leaders of the Genasi who brought you into this chamber. And the final tier carrying hundreds of chairs, where you see a flurry of Genasi robes of the High Healer, Empath, all the various classes. This, for reference, and I'm sure Esther would explain it to you all, is where the high blank of every tribe, every individual tribe, comes to meet. When it's on the basic scale, there are 5 tribes of the Genasi, 5 major tribes. But within that, there are a number of offshoots, a number of just people who live in smaller gatherings that each have their own full 8 members. And at the moment, they are all, for the most part, there are a few people who aren't. Vacancies, people getting food, regardless. But hundreds of influential people from within the Genasi culture, with an elected one from each tribe of each class in the middle layer. And as you are all filed in and gestured towards the kind of central table where no one was sitting, you are all welcome to take your seat and encouraged to speak your mind. They, first, as you sit down, remind you that this is a place not quite of worship, but of honor. Anything you say here will be heard by all the members, all the closest thing to a ruling party of each tribe. And everything said within this chamber can be heard by any Genasi who chooses to listen, as long as they're within the gathering. So, with that in mind, you are encouraged to not so much keep a tongue that is civil, but don't expect a secret. Don't expect for national security to go, oh, you cannot say this. Anything that is to be spoken to any of the leaders of the tribe is considered intellectual property, effectively, of all Genasi who choose to take part. So, as you're taking seat and you see the table light up with these runes carved into the bones as you each take a seat, you feel this brief connection, almost like when you first commingle with someone. And for a moment, you aren't of your own mind. You are the collective of the Genasi. You are standing by each of their ears. You can see what each of them are doing at the moment, who happen to be tuned in. Children, very few and far between, are listening, but a lot of adults, especially elder folk. And as the magic fades and the runes remain lit, they turn to you. The high empath stands up, welcomes you all, and says, well, we've brought you here to speak whatever words value you think the Genasi people should hear. There are many of us who have heard of your exploits as being politically effective by some, and culturally shattering to others. You say you were present during the fall of Peduncle, and have survived as many did. And you are, if not friendly, at least familiar with at least one Zodiac. So, we encourage you first to elaborate on who you are and why the Genasi should listen to you. She takes her seat.
Who wants to introduce themselves first?
I'm just kind of assuming that Esther is going to be the main spokesperson, as basically one of us that's most familiar with these tribes. So,
shit, okay.
Rosalind's gonna basically prompt Esther to please, if you would.
Take the lead, at least.
Yes.
Alright. I didn't want to make assumptions, and I wanted to make sure. That's all.
Yeah.
Would you like us to introduce ourselves one after the other, so that way you might at least hear us?
At the very least, your names and enough that the people who are listening can be clear in who is speaking.
And in that case, Esther will gesture to Rosalind to introduce herself first.
Yep. Can we just say we go around the table and introduce ourselves?
Yep. Do any of you do anything stand out? Do you have any titles you associate with yourself? Anything specific?
Esther does.
Esther, you introduce yourself as what?
My name is Esther Azurite Macken, one of the Ambustiteri, beloved to the Firebirds, Phoenix kin, and I ask that you please hear us to speak.
The High Council members acknowledge your introduction and gesture to anyone else who wishes to use a title.
Rosalind will probably use her title as lady and association with Anther, but also with Averos.
One of the council members, seemingly one of the high seers of the Osium tribe, the one that is hosting, stands up and asks that you explain what Averos is.
Averos is the flying island you have seen overhead. We are beginning a small community of our own there. It is not perhaps a nation, it's not even really a town yet, but we are making strides.
You hear mutterings, but quite clear mutterings, as again, anyone can hear what is going on here, of people essentially calling it various turns of phrase that mean a tribe of its own.
A lot of those there who reside upon the island are ones who were displaced by the incidents at Peduncle.
Murmuring kind of swells at that, and they say, "So these are survivors, refugees?" You hear one of the high warriors speak up.
Many of them, yes. We took on a smaller population to see how well the island would be able to sustain itself at first. We didn't want to promise safe refuge if we were unable to keep these people safe or fed or happy, but I'm glad to report that it's actually going rather well. And people are beginning to settle back into what they deem normal.
They're a vetted list of select and skilled individuals ready to create some sort of basis for everything that's to come.
Very well. Well, we hope it is a prosperous and a land that thrives. So, we presume you have political matters that concern the Genasi people in your presence here.
We do.
We ask that first you speak of anything you wish from us, anything you wish to be heard. And then we will have questions for you afterwards, but please, take the lead in what you wish to explain.
Esther's kind of looking to the group like, do you want me to go?
Start with the Zodiacs.
Start with the Zodiacs, okay. Again, this is very out of her elements. She's going to be looking to you guys for how to structure this.
Can if there is any sort of charisma check at any point, Rosalind's willing to extend help via Feign, just prompting Esther or bringing up points so that Esther can flow into them.
Rosalind still got that staff.
I think she does.
It's only for her,
but
though.
It's only for her, and she's
Okay.
not going to talk over Esther for this.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just wondering if she still had it or not, because I was wondering if she was going to use it with the Leo thing at all.
No, the scepter is still within Rosalind's possession.
Okay.
We are here to discuss about the Zodiacs.
And the noise at this point doesn't just swell, but there is almost a verbal equivalent of the scraping of chairs thrust quickly back as this said brashly is not something very often heard. And they say, and there's a moment of quiet as the empaths basically go full librarian and shush everyone. Encourage you, please. Continue.
First of all, as a matter of business, please do not speak the name that shakes the earth. You are all aware of the name, for the name that has been spoken by the ambassador of the Zodiacs, who was standing in the square today, brings forth magic. I ask that you please, in reference to him, name him only as 13. For that Namaker seems to not carry any sort of magic behind it, yet is still capable of allowing us to reference him. So please, I will not say the name, but I am assuming that you can at least understand as to which name I am discussing. Yes?
I believe enough people do that your warning will be heeded by most. Would
Thank
you please
you.
explain who 13 is for the sake of everyone? What do you know
From-
about this mysterious, powerful figure?
From what we can grasp, he is I suppose, a set pinnacle in both sides. He does not have he does not have both hands in only one side of this war. He has them set in both. We do not understand his motives. We do not understand truly what he desires yet. Though what we can grasp is that he is very formidable amongst the Zodiacs, and he is a force to be reckoned with. That he is powerful and has very great influence. So he is something to be regarded with caution.
Additionally, the other maybe Esther wouldn't have said it exactly because I think he is a bit of a misnomer. There, just out of character. Am I remembering correctly on that one?
Yeah,
have no
it was
idea.
complicated because there was a he Ophiuchus at one time, but now they're a they.
The cheat sheet is that the divine symbol that you knew, Ashta, was he.
Mhm.
Ophiuchus as 13 has only been referred to as they by most. However, some have used he. Specifically, Libra did. But Libra was technically not speaking common, and it's like a whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, I'll use
Alright.
they then. Sorry, my bad.
It's kind of like it's like the French masculine versus feminine for a noun.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. In this campaign, we do not stand for misgendering the big bads, okay? So I apologize.
Well, it's mostly because you guys don't know what gender they are.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But that's, again, I'm, one, making a joke. Two,
Yeah.
I will use they. Thank you for reminding me. I did not remember.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you speak out loud at any point?
What do you
I was gonna say he would have more so like after that, but if
Okay.
but
Let me-
if Esther was more on that, then maybe not.
Show me a quick perception check.
All right,
That'd
25.
be fun. As you're kind of looking out to speak towards everyone, intimidating to be sure, but nothing you haven't handled before. You notice an astute set of eyes set deep within the crowd. As there is a water genasi who is staring deeply at you, and as soon as you kind of lock eyes with them, you feel your magic almost pulse in like a harmonic kind of way.
Harmonic.
It's not a negative feeling at all.
Oh, he'll note that for a little bit,
Yep.
but I guess after that he'll just add it on. Additionally, the current identity, the title is more of a entity as a whole rather than a single person from our loose understanding as of right now. It could be multiple, it could be one turned to multiple, or vice versa. It's very enshrouded as of now.
Very well. These Zodiacs. You are certain they are a threat to the Genasi people, yes?
I can say that, at least for certainty, they are a threat to this plane. Most specifically, from what we can gather, this country. As most of this country is run by druids, they do draw their magic off of the elemental plane, such as what we do. But I do not fully grasp why there is a conflict between them and those of the elemental planes.
Go ahead
However,
and roll me either a history check or an arcana check.
Okay, because I genuinely don't know. I don't know if this has been brought up.
You can ask out of
there's been
character
a
for
lot.
beforehand.
Yeah, you can always ask out of character too. So with Arcana 24, you do recall through conversations, you aren't certain of the answer yet. You've heard three major theories. One, that it is as you first heard, that the planar magic that is drawn on by the Zodiacs, or by the Druids, is basically pulling the planes together and has them set to collapse. You've heard from other people that it's a political thing, and that the whole magical gravity thing is just an excuse, kind of like a straw man for it.
Mhm.
And you've also heard that this is instead related to some historical event, but that was kind of very briefly mentioned and wasn't really elaborated on.
Okay. In that case, then she'll relay those 3 theories individually, basically being like, I don't know precisely as to what the actual cause of this is, but there are 3 main theories that we have been able to at least identify at this time. However, they are dangerous. We have experienced firsthand the power that some of these zodiacs can carry. They are very formidable foes. For example, Sagittarius, the one who attacked along the Goblin army, as well as the Ambustitari, my own people. And though we are all of one people, this especially hit close to home because my own family was injured in this attack.
Yep, you actually see one of the High Guardians stand, seemingly again at the Osim Tedai. He says, "These flame elementals I believe you speak of, they have attacked the Osim Tedai as well, to prevent us from assaulting them from behind, as they assaulted the Genasi army. As well, most of the northern tribes have had to deal with their incursions while they were here. Esther, born of flame, can you confirm that Sagittarius is dead by your hand?"
And from that, Esther's gonna take the skeletal and slightly decayed fin off of her hip and holds it up above her head. This was the fin that crested his head. I now carry it as a reminder.
The
is-
sound that explodes from the Senate is not subtle. There are a number of sounds of disgust. There are quite a number of what seem to be almost war cries of kind of what you expect to hear in a Viking dining hall. But for a lot of people, it's just shocked whispers. Continue.
Sagittarius is dead. Though for how long another will not take his place, I am not sure. We do know that the Zodiacs who stand now were elected. The title is what we have been addressing them by. It is not necessarily their name. Sagittarius. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, the entity as a whole of the Zodiacs is the main threat here, rather than the individuals. The individuals
Though-
are a part of the greater machine, but the entire organization seems to be headed by those with very concerning motives.
However, alongside that note as well, we have faced off against other Zodiacs besides Sagittarius. We have been able to observe how they fight, in a sense, if that follows along. And we have been able to observe the power that they hold. Some are stronger than others, yet the ones who are perhaps weaker in some aspects are stronger in other aspects. They're balanced in a way that almost slightly resembles the council in a sense. A group of individuals whose strengths make up of other weaknesses. They are necessarily not to be seen as individuals, rather as a unit. For despite them having different political opinions and different ideals for what they desire, they do all fall under some level of control.
Very well. Then, other than the death of Sagittarius and the potential election of another, where does the war stand? We only know of the desert and of what we managed to gather here. We have a number of the seekers who tell us that across the country there have been incursions, attacks in Valeri, on the east, on the west. Only place seem to be left mostly unmolested is the northwest. Do they ally with the rebellion? Are we winning? Is this a hopeless war?
Hopeless. However, it is difficult. I will not deny. The fight is uncertain. Both sides are at very equal standpoint. And I cannot tell you that I am certain as to where the tide will turn. But I do know that we have been fighting day and night and trying day and night to form resolutions of some kind. I do not wish for more bloodshed, though if it is necessary to protect my home and my people, it is inevitable. But the war is not hopeless, and potential efforts for peace are being made.
There's an excited buzz to that. And a few people kind of stand up, encouraging you to speak further on this or explain.
Esther's going to feign the group, and can I ask about the peace? Can I talk about the peace meeting?
Honestly, at this point, I don't. There's a lot going on here. I don't think the information about what we're getting up to is anything secret to the other side. So
Okay, I'm just
just
making sure.
at this point, it's just a question if we want people on the material knowing everything.
It's going to get out eventually.
Fine. And
And I wanted to know if I could extend an invitation.
that one might take a bit more.
No.
Let's not dive into things.
I will not express the possibility of an
To keep
invitation.
the feign thing, to make sure there's not a deafening silence as this conversation is going on. Astra's going to just say, to give a more concrete update, we have ended Scorpio, and we've made good steps towards both Cancer and Aquarius.
As well as Libra.
That was Devin Brain. My bad.
That's good. That's a lot.
And the possibility of a peace talk is most certain.
Peace talks
Also-
between whom? Who is to represent the material plane?
As of right now, Esther's going to feign the group. I need to invite them. It will be considered an offense.
Invite a representative from each if they choose to come, but say that the Archdruids are a must.
That is a definite, and that will not be discussed. Like, obviously, the Archdruids, yes. But if I say the Archdruids are going, and they have not been extended an invitation, that is a considerable offense.
Alright.
Go ahead and give me a history check from both Esther and Rosalind, as well as a perception check from the same two.
Okay. History and perception.
Okay, so Rosalind and Esther, you two both know that one of the Archdruids is of the tribes.
Mhm.
And Esther, you can see them right now. They are very casually sitting basically in the rafters of the Senate, strapped to a surfboard, taking a nap.
Oh my god.
Yep, I kind of figured that was where that was fucking going. Okay. In that case, there is to be a peace talk between members of the Zodiacs who are interested in peace and the Archdruids of this plane, specifically of this country. It was a request, specifically from Libra, that the Archdruids of every area of this country must attend this meeting. Otherwise, they will not attend at all. In order for peace to be achieved, everyone must be there. And out of that scenario, I extend my hand personally. I give an invitation to the High Councils, one member of each, to allow it to be kept at least a little bit simpler in numbers, as I know there are a great many. one elected individual of each council. Please, I ask you to attend these talks. Your input is valuable, and your fight has not gone unnoticed. And I want your voices to be heard. That is my invitation, whether you choose to accept it or not is of your own volition. But just know that it is there.
Alright. So, I'll spare you the questions of when, the where, the how that we speak to you. I'll spare you guys all that, as that is elaborated on further, and for... Oh, look at this. Lost tie very briefly. There we go. It's elaborated on, details are given, no need to talk that part out. At the end of it, it's basically agreed that they will send 4 members, if you'll have all 4.
All
They'll
right.
send 1 guard, 1 empath, 1 seer, and 1 matron. Just for the sake of, those are the basically meant to represent the 4 major needs of the Genasi, being protection, intelligence, safety, and development, basically. From there, as you guys kind of get to the end of that brief, they give you about 5 minutes to discuss between themselves, as well as 5 minutes for them to excuse themselves to take a quick break. So, you guys have a moment, basically, where you will be unheard and you can step out from the chairs and discuss out in character for a second. As well, I'm going to take a quick 5 minutes because I have to be right back. So feel free to discuss in character. I will turn in minutes.
They cannot walk through that portal.
Which Leos?
They can't. I know what will happen if they walk through that portal. I know it in my gut. They will be turned to his army. I do not know how, I do not know where, but I know it. In my soul. They will not be free if they go there. Yet
Here.
I cannot be the one responsible for stamping their free will.
It's
I think you have a point. I don't like this. Especially Leo's whole, I don't exactly know where this is going.
I value Leo as an ally in the sense of his morals do not lie with anybody else but himself. However, his values might be something different, and his loyalty is also something different. His morals do not depend in this situation, but Did you not see the look he gave me
I did.
afterwards?
He seemed quite upset with you saying something about freeing his people.
He didn't like that. But I don't understand. I did not ask to free his people. I said I would like to work with his people, the safety of his people, but he gave me a look of coldness. And I don't understand as to why.
You might think you're wasting your time.
Or do you think perhaps he may be threatened?
I
There's
think we're
also-
looking a bit too much into it from a single glance he gave you.
Mm.
And we need more concrete evidence of anything about this before we start making assumptions.
But he looked almost proud after that debate.
Then we'll mark it down and keep it in mind for the future.
I don't deny that, Xenia, you're right, but
Yep, he is a notorious liar.
it was just odd. And I just wanted to make sure that it was noticed by everybody else. Also, I don't know what I'm doing.
Welcome to the group.
I'm so sorry. I hope I'm doing all right for everyone.
You're doing great. It's just...
We're using you as the filter to make sure we don't say anything terrible that's going to offend everyone in there.
Yes.
As long as you don't degrade them, I don't believe that anything would be wrong. Try not to be racist.
There's a blink from Ashta.
Low bar.
Hey,
It's a
hey.
little more-
I'm not saying it specifically I am saying it specifically towards you, because when we met you were not overly kind, but I know that you have grown and have improved, and I'm very anxious.
Jesus Christ.
I hope you like
So
this
about the
character
next
moment,
thing
by
on the
way.
list.
Rayla just briefly from the pocket whispers in your ear, Ashta. Now, we don't have time to unpack all of that.
You racist, and we want to make sure that you're gonna keep it in there. Anyway, fuck, what's the thing? Okay, shit, wait, I'm looking at the list of the stuff to remember. So we discussed the killing of Sagittarius, the peace-seeking, discussed the information, discussed the elected. Ah, I know what's next. Okay, it's the Valeri, and just kind of mentioning trade routes, and that's about it.
Yeah, the refugees. Because
So-
that
Yeah.
was a big thing.
As the council reconvenes, and you all are encouraged to sit back down once more, you get that brief moment of connecting to all the Genasi. It seems actually after that short break there are more somehow.
Out of
Who is-
curiosity, John,
Yeah.
can you turn on noise suppression?
Sorry.
No, I'm just asking. I didn't know if you had it on or not.
I didn't.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm sorry. The feedback was getting loud, that's all.
So,
I'm aware of any feedback.
It might only just be me then. Thank you very much for putting it on, though. I appreciate it.
so, as the council gathers one more time, you see, standing now on his own 2 feet, is a kind of willowy, tall water Genasi who previously was on the rafters of the building.
Oh, real quick, was that the one Ashta glanced at?
Nope, that was someone else.
Okay, then before they go in, Ashta's just gonna real quick feign an image to Esther. It's like, do you know this one?
You do actually, Esther. You know them very well. This is a pseudo folk hero among the Genasi in some ways. He's one of the Realm Hunters, which is the level 20 equivalent of a ranger. And he has effectively made it his mission to protect the mystics of the Genasi Desert, as he believes it to be basically he's taken a personal goal to do so,
Oh,
Where-
well.
and he is well known to do his absolute best. And he's the reason a lot of mystics who lose their powers survive, but he is almost never successful in them actually keeping their powers. But
Whoops.
you would also know that technically he's the same kind of ranger as Ashta is.
And Nestor just kind of explained, he's like you. The magic that he
You're gonna have
uses.
to explain
The
that
magic.
because you just called me racist 2 minutes ago.
Okay, listen. That Esther's gonna hit him in the shoulder. Esther's just gonna hit him in the shoulder and be like, listen, I meant by the magic he uses. He's a very important member of the tribes. Almost like your realm hunters, in a sense, of what
He
A
is
very-
a hunter.
well, he's a realm hunter.
Almost
Very-
like a realm hunter in the way that he's a realm hunter.
Shut up! I'm anxious. Leave me alone.
And I'm alleviating it with comedy.
It's
humor!
comedy.
Why is nobody laughing? I specifically requested.
It's comedy. He's a realm hunter. His magic is very similar to yours.
Oh,
Actually, he's the reason a lot of mystics have survived. Usually,
that's why I was getting a ringing in my ear when I looked at him.
we should speak to him
He's a
afterwards.
Terminatus ranger.
He's a That's good, but we should speak to him after this.
Yeah,
He-
not just for me, but for you.
Oh,
Have you talked to him since you know,
died?
yeah.
Lost my natural talents.
Mm-hmm.
Was forced into something that I didn't necessarily consent to. No.
Do you know how much he knows about that whole ordeal?
I have no idea. My family didn't even know. And despite the fact that I know very well that Algian saw, when something happens to our family, she's the one to see. She always knows. The fact that my family didn't know, I don't know if he knows at all.
He's be one to want to. Anyways, let's get back to it. We can talk to him later.
Oh, yeah, that's after this.
So, as you watch as what you now recognize to be the Archdruid of the Desert kind of step down to get on an equal height to the rest of you. Says, so apparently I'm needed for peace talks. And you folks are the ones who have interacted with the Zodiacs the most, right?
Also, yes.
Well, then I'm electing you my minor counsel onto the situation after this, and to help guide me through those peace talks when they occur. I hope you will do your job well, and I hope you know more than I do, because I don't know very much.
I'm sure we
Case?
could get you up to speed.
Not for right now, for later. We'll figure out a day for it.
I also need to ask your help in helping to convince the other Archdruids to attend this talk.
Oh.
I don't know how many will be willing.
Well, how many of you spoke to?
Rosalind?
I am trying to count on my fingers, but let's see. We've got dreams.
I can
do
help you
you
go through
have a
it if you'd like.
tally? Do you have
I
a
do.
tally? Because I do not
I
have
do.
a list. How many have
I
we
do.
talked to? I know we
You have
sent
spoken-
word to some, but we haven't heard replies yet.
Yes, you've sent word to Shepherd. You've sent word to Grassland, which is the Goblin Army.
Mhm.
You sent word to the General, of course. You've sent word to the Swamp, to the Dreams. Not yet to the Arctic, not yet to the coast, although the coast should be soon. Hold on, sorry, got this backwards. You've talked to one on the Arctic, not the coast. My mistake. You're currently speaking to the one in the desert. You've sent a message to Moon. You've spoken to Forest. And you have, I believe, sent a message to the Underdark. So you've sent at least a message to all but 2 of them.
Okay. So we just need coast and my brain. Arctic.
Arctic. You need responses from Arctic? Sorry, that was my mistake earlier. Arctic you've spoken to.
Okay.
Arctic was the Aarakocra that you met up north.
Yeah.
And then impersonated.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's had a message sent to him through Orzer.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Um,
Poor Orzer, man.
as well, you have Orzer, who is of the Glimmers.
Mhm.
Let's see. You have met the Gloomstalker Realm Hunter as well. That one you don't know that you've met yet, so we're just gonna ignore that one. Let's see, and I think there's one more Glimmer. Have you guys sent word to the leader of the Goblin Army?
Yes. That would
I
have
thought we did.
That would have been when we sent word to the Archdruid down there.
Yes. Okay. Then yeah.
Their
He
package deal.
he is aware. He is aware of the situation. You haven't got a response from him, or even know if he's what his opinion of it is.
Yeah.
As well, you've spoken to Ronir briefly, and he has sent a message to the Enlightened of Arcana, as they live in Darrencourt, as well as the Divination Glimmer. You guys have spoken to a lot of people.
Yeah. We've sent word to many, but we have not received many responses. I don't know if perhaps it's because they don't tend to take us seriously, or perhaps this is something they don't believe in, but if you could at least put in your input, I would be very much appreciative.
And he puts a hand on your shoulder, and he says, "Is this peace talk? What is this peace talk worth? How likely do you think it is to succeed?
This peace talk takes place on neutral ground. It
But
will
how important is it? Is this the beginnings? Is this the ends? What is this?
In order for peace to proceed, in order for it to be an actual idea for this war, this needs to occur.
Well, and he looks out to the council and goes, with the council's permission, I would like to propose a concept as my way of getting the desired folks to this meeting sooner before more deaths and more attacks can incur, such that they have to be forced to the table." And you hear the council go silent. Let's have anyone who wants to roll an insight check.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
So do I want to see how they view him?
Oh dear.
Ah, fuck.
Ashta and Xenia, the council seems to be shocked that he's even proposing something. And he said,
Oh shit, this dude's on his feet.
yeah, basically. This
They're
is,
like, holy
this, is,
fuck!
this is the equivalent of, oh god, who is it? I can't think of a good anime analogy, but I'm thinking of a few. He goes, with the permission of the council, I would like to propose to the archdruids of the land, as well as any allies of this group, who I assume at least a functional majority trust, that if the archdruids don't show up to this peace talks, that we threaten to economically bar the rest of the country and leave the country. And the room goes silent.
Esther has a absolutely awestruck look because, oh my god, this man is beautiful.
And he continues, says, of course, this would mean that the entirety of the Obsidian Coast would be no longer housing trading through us. They could not get around without having to go through other countries, and, well, we can declare ourselves our own country if we want. And if anyone from the Stomping Grounds decides to go our way and goes through to attack the Druid land, then, well, that's just their business.
Would this be a bad time to mention
What did he
large?
do?
Would this be a bad time?
Who is this man?
Would this be a bad time to mention that wide-scale refugees are leaving out of Valeri because of a current large-scale problem with their volcano?
Even better, we can force the issue there and say we'll take in the refugees, but they will be members of the desert until such time as the Archdruids choose to accept this peace council.
Something I desired to bring up as well. The Dean of the University of Valeria has requested assistance. He's
Yes.
actually here attending the gathering.
Yes. One of
Thousands
the
of
high
people.
seers puts their hand up and says, yes, we spoke to him yesterday.
Wonderful.
will-
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, we've heard his plea. We've elected to take a week's time of council meetings to discuss any major issues first, just in case that would get in the way. And the seer who spoke up sits back down.
Thank you. Again, my gratitude goes out to you. Thank you.
Of course. And the
Oh.
Archdruid just smiles at you guys, and just the council is just looking at each other like, oh my god.
Might I also add, the Archdruid does have a very strong point in this. I must say that we have a lot more power than we are given credit for in this country. There is a lot of territory that is occupied by the Genasi. And if the Archdruids, who may be a little bit more interested in war than peace, decide that they don't want to attend these talks and completely forego the option of peace, there are things that we can do to prevent that. There is power that we hold to make sure that these talks happen. And she kind of looks at the Archdruid and goes, to be honest, that was a rather brilliant proposal.
He puts out a fist bump you.
Esther fist bumps him and then does a snail.
I'm gonna
He's smiling. He's like, I like you, Fire Lady.
I'm gonna feign check with Esther just to find out, would the Genasi closing off trade to the rest of the country, would they pause because they need some trade? And if so, and I'm gonna include Xenia on this, if that would give them pause, could we reinforce this by offering Averos as a trade partner and trade hub? Or would that
Rosalind,
undermine it?
No. Rosalind, you get a look from Esther of absolute joy because she did not consider this.
And in that case, Rosalind... Oh, unless Esther takes it, then.
Go ahead, you can say it.
In that case, Rosalind will just... To that end, if closing off trade with the rest of the country would harm you in any way, if you need some form of contact and trade, we did mention that Averos is a newly beginning community, but one that already is looking towards potential trade partners, hubs, routes. We are very mobile, and we would be open to any such arrangements that may prove necessary if that route should be required. And even if it's not, perhaps one day we could discuss trade in more detail if it would be of interest.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check, Rosalind.
Okay.
Oh, can I please, if any help at all, please?
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot
Yeah.
helping you out here.
Yeah, I'll take whatever points Esther can give me on how the Genasi work to basically pad out the proposal just a little, and also, like, weigh in with
I will say-
Xenia, too.
I was gonna say, Xenia, you've got probably the best idea of how the economy works.
Yeah.
Of the group here.
So, like, can we have a quick little feign? Bzz, 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 three ways, and,
Also guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, smack her ass with guidance. Don't do that. Smack her with guidance.
You fucking
Sorry.
what?
Excuse me?
Ash just like all you see is like a glare
Don't
from
you dare.
Ashes.
Don't you dare.
Oh,
That was
bullshit, you don't.
Harkness. That was hard.
Yeah, those kind.
Persuasion.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead and take an extra advantage on top of that, Rosalind, because you're getting
one
help from
more?
two people.
Okay.
Yep.
I will roll at normal. I cannot speak right now. I'm sorry. Okay,
That's okay.
17 plus 4 is as good as that's gonna get.
Alright, 21 total. The council removes themselves from their silence very briefly to kind of discuss the ways that would work. Xenia, you having, again, the best understanding of this. This, A, would explode the economy of Averos in a good way. B, this would effectively crumble the Archdruid side of the war versus the rebellion. Not to mention the Zodiacs.
Ash is just gonna look over to that to the Archdruid here and just be like, so you're basically suggesting we politically siege the rest of the country?
No, I'm suggesting that the people who are charged with taking care of the country, who are charged to take care of the citizens, we tell them that this is a stress to all citizens, and if they don't accept that, then we will fight back on our own. And if they want our help, they have to get their heads out of their asses. Sorry, Council. To get past their own issues, come to understanding, and solve the interplanar war they seem to forget is happening, despite the fact it burnt down our capital.
And if we don't, and if they don't, then we politically siege the rest of the country.
Yes, because if so,
Okay,
they've
just
already
making sure.
failed- They've already failed their duty as Archdruid if they choose not to even attend a peace council for a day, despite the differences.
If they do not attend the peace council, they are allowing their ego to be put over the necessity of their duty.
Yes.
Which, in
So-
that case, whatever we decide to do, in terms of forcing them to remain in their spot of duty, I fucking stutter like a mofo. It will be necessary.
And if they so choose, and he says this more towards the council, if they still choose to ignore this problem and ignore the plea of the Genasi, if the council does choose to vote on this, specifically from one of their own members, as well as the members of what I'm understanding is a large political machine of this group of five. Well, then, the Genasi don't owe them anything. We are citizens. If they're not choosing to protect us, well, there's a whole other crown we can be beholden to. If they really want us to forge our own path, then we don't need them for it.
The Genasi are more self-sufficient than I believe that we realize. Though trade is necessary, yes, and alternative trade routes can also be made with Averos, we are a people that dwell within our own societies. We have our own society, our culture, our structure of government. And yes, the fact that we do respect the Archdruids is obvious, but I do not believe they realize the amount of power that we do wield here. Peace is necessary. These talks are necessary, if peace is even to be an option. The fact that we have Zodiacs who have decided that they wish to talk and discuss peace is incredibly important.
So, how about this then? You folks have spellcasters, right?
I'm one, yes.
could I ask that, particularly the spellcasters, but all 5 of you are welcome if the magic is strong enough. I have a method of speaking to all the archdruids at once. Again, I don't know the situation very well, so as my newly appointed council of, let's call them Zodiacal Matters, I'd like you to be there for the conversation.
Asher like slightly grimaces at that phrase.
Maybe find a more fitting name.
Nah,
It's working
I'll just say it's primordial for something, it's fine.
Zodiacal
He gives you a high five, Xenia, and he just goes, so,
Why?
if the council agrees to this proposal, I'll have you guys with me to inform me of what I need to be informed of, and it'll effectively be a large-scale dream spell if you guys have heard of the spell.
We've heard of it, yes, we're familiar.
Ah, perfect. I'm good friends with the Archdruid of Dreams anyways, so I'll get him to lend me a hand too.
We are familiar with him as well, to some extent. In fact, I extended my invitation to him via a dream.
Oh, really? Oh, that's such a good way to do it for him. He loves dream spells.
So,
Assume so.
Also, do you really know Little Hippie? You know Hippie?
is
Sorry?
that what you
Oh,
call him?
sorry. His full name technically is Hipparin, but I call him Little Hippie because like he's got such narrow hips. He's Little Hippie.
Hmm.
Not the
One of the high empaths kind of stands up like, Archdruid, I believe we need to vote on this proposal of yours. He just goes, oh, right.
As a quick aside, just in Rosalind's head, can I insight check? Does he? Is this like a little brother kind of teasing relationship, or?
Go for it. Roll insight.
Yeah, I just want to know for future reference. 14.
He was wearing his heart in his sleeve. He just really likes the guy, gave him a nickname, he thought it was fun.
Alright. Because Rosalind is debating whether or not this is somebody who needs to know that this guy is dating someone.
Yep. Nah, it just seems like this Archdruid is just a fucking weirdo.
I love him.
Okay.
This feels like this archdruid would have the surfer voice if Conrad could muster
I
it.
would like to note, when I first wrote him, his name was Surfer Dude Archdruid.
Surfer Dude Arch.
This is who I was originally planning to do the
Yeah.
Surfer Dude voice for.
I am now
stop, dude.
like you cannot stop me from thinking he has like dyed hair that kind of like goes off to the like in the like part in the middle. I'm thinking like Brendan Fraser. This dude is just a Genasi Brendan Fraser.
Oh no, don't do that to him.
You can imagine whatever you'd like to imagine.
Don't do that to the Genasi.
I'm thinking more Genasi Hasselhoff, I'm gonna be honest.
Thank you.
I'm thinking one of the dudes from Point Break, actually.
Ooh, that's fair.
Hasselhoff is much more acceptable. Please don't put this man as Brendan Fraser.
Not Brendan Fraser. This guy's basically Keanu Reeves from Point Break, or the other guy with the blonde hair.
And much
I
more
think-
acceptable
I
of him
think
being
one blonde
Keanu
guy.
Reeves.
Yeah, not quite Keanu Reeves. Doesn't have quite that much of a shy or inward demeanor.
No,
Keanu Reeves if he was an extrovert.
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
definitely the blonde dude.
definitely the blonde.
Sorry, it looks like fucking. What's the
What?
Owen? What's the name?
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson!
Owen Wilson.
Surfer Dude Owen Wilson. Yeah.
What's the... I love how you're like, what's the... Wow!
I couldn't remember his name. Anyways,
Surfer Dude Owen Wilson. Yeah.
he basically looks out to the council and just goes, "Oh, you guys can vote on this too.
It's
By the way,
Patrick
this
Swayze,
greatly
by the way.
concerns you guys. All in favor, raise your
Okay.
hand." There's a moment of like quiet where all the council members all look at each other, and a vast majority of them raise their hand. Esther, you know anything that has the possibility of leading to Genasi independence, especially on their terms and with the Obsidian Coast on their side? It's something people have been looking for a while. But they were usually fearful of attacks from the Archdruids, as, again, the Archdruids can basically sustain themselves no matter what their terrain is.
I want to start a Genasi revolution.
In this situation, just historically, the Archdruids would have enemies on quite literally every cardinal direction, including up and down. I'm not being sarcastic. They would have from the desert, from the south. The Genasi could completely ignore the Goblin Armory. They would be stopping the protection from the Stomping Grounds, which is where all the giants live, who are technically at war with the Archdruids. They would basically be leaving the southwest coast to the Deadlands, and if they chose to attack, the Genasi wouldn't stop them. They're attacked from the north by the rebellion. They're attacked from underneath from the Underdark at all times, because the Underdark is just a volatile and angry place. And they're being attacked from, quote-unquote, upwards from the Inner Planes. This Archdruid might be a bit more bloodthirsty than he comes across.
No, see, that's the thing. I love him. I love him. This man speaks what we all desire. Viva la revolution! Fuck the Druids!
And you
Oh
guys
my
also,
God.
technically, you have Orazur on your side as well, who is the main kind of protectorate after Peduncle. But the council votes yay to this, and says, alright, cool. So, you guys are going to be there to make sure I don't have to offer that, but if I do, you guys can pretend like it wasn't what you wanted to do, and just blame the Genasi for it. Esther, I imagine you'll kind of be on the fence about it. That's probably a good way to do it. Yeah, that's me. I'm gonna go. If you need me again, send me a sending spell. And he goes
a
to give
deal.
he goes to each give you a high five.
Esther's gonna pull him into a hug.
Yep, he takes a hug, like lifts you up out of the seat, twirls you in a circle, and sits you back down. Goes, sweet. Alright,
Just as-
later. He does like a peace
as-
sign, turns into a vulture, and flies out.
When she was hugging him, she is going to just kind of whisper, "Thank you."
He just kind of smiles and just, again, turns into a vulture and pieces out. The council for a moment kind of just looks at you all.
He's interesting.
Quite.
So
I mean-
more laid back than what I'd imagine an Archdruid to be.
Not the
Well,
worst.
No, definitely not the worst, and I have to say, many of us do hold a bit of a special place in our heart for him. He is a lovable cat, desert cat, bloodthirsty by all accounts, but God, if you don't just want to hug him.
I respect him beyond measure. The fact that he was able to come up with such a brilliant idea is wonderful. And I do stand by what he says.
You see one of the council members kind of sigh and say, well, he does technically have blessings of wisdom that give him wisdom past what any creature can normally reach, at least any humanoid. And Fervis, you hear your Fane give a happy little tune to that. Basically, he has the same thing you have for intelligence, but for wisdom.
Ah,
Motherfucker has 24 wisdom and is a surfer. God, I read shit like years ago and forget that I write them.
What's his intelligence out of curiosity?
Let me
8.
check.
Again, I swear it better be 8.
I think
That's his
it's-
dump stat.
Hold on. That is the ranger. Where is it?
His dump stat is intelligence.
Hey, let's be kind. It's 9.
maybe 10 if
actually-
we're being really generous.
So I will say all the level 20s did have rolled stats. It is 14.
That's a shame.
I mean, 14, 24, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big fucking jump. Anyways. Alright, Trade Rousseau discovered, the Valeri's discussed. Is there anything else? Oh, Esther is going to message the group. Fane very quickly, kind of while the Archdruid was like kind of doing his thing. Just so, again, the silence isn't noticeable. Just, I know we took refugees onto Anther, and that it was a very limited number. I would like to propose the idea of taking on certain Genasi from tribes. Those who wish for a slightly safer environment just while the war is still raging. This is... fine.
I mean, after what we just proposed, that's a lot. And even if we bring people on from here, that's just going to be people from Valeri who fill the spots quickly after.
So,
It doesn't matter.
I'll just say in Fane to that conversation, Esther, there will be a time for it, and we will welcome those who would like to join us, but let us create an infrastructure to keep them safe first.
so
Let it be known, that if my people die, I will stare into the mouth of a chasm, and I will die with them.
So, with that, as the archer finishes up what he says and vultures out, there's a moment of kind of discussion between the council where you are pretty much just left there to sit as they discuss the ins and outs of what should happen. They try to give you advice on how they think you should talk, but at this point there's a bit too many different opinions that at one point one of the empaths stands up and just, enough! They've gotten this far. We've decided to trust them. They have 2 Genasi within their ranks. That's a greater proportion to the population of the country than there is in theirs. Genasi make up 10% of the population. They have 40% Genasi with them. They can handle it. Not to mention the Archdruid. And the council, pretty much, not fully, but after a few moments will be shouted out of any more arguments for the sake of peace. Finally, as they kind of look to each other and begin to bring up the question of if there are other questions for you, the ranger, the realm hunter, who is sitting in the back, stands up. Please, may I speak? The council kind of nods to him, and as just like the archer before, he makes his way down to you guys. Says, "Hello, I am a protector. I believe Esther Fervis, you have at least heard of me.
Huh?
Ashta, I believe your strength recognizes mine.
He gives like a slow nod.
Good. Then, for those 2 who are not familiar, I am a Horizon Walker with the same education that Ashta is. I protect the mystics of the desert. I'm not often successful, but I do what I can. I keep them alive. So, I've had suspicions for a while, but I'll ask you folks, as you seem to know more than anyone else in this country. What does 13 have to do with the mystics?
I'm gonna feign to Ashta in particular that signal the rest of the group. Think this might be something for Ashta to speak of.
Go on.
Alright, this is gonna be player having a time of it. Please correct any information Astra would know that I'm dumb.
Yep, you guys can feign that. Feign is my letting you guys metagame whenever you want. Just mention it as
Right, but then you dunk on us sometimes when we sit there for long swaths of silence.
Yes, because unfortunately that is the one downside of it.
Okay, so basically what I remember is that isn't Ophiuchus the one that probably has taken their powers?
Is the one, or is like directly tied to the one? It's probably on the same boat as the one, right?
Yeah, because it was really vague, the information, and I'm not sure if some of that information that I have written down was redacted or incorrect.
Yeah.
It was that he was tied.
Sky, you got some reverb.
Okay, it was that he was tied to whatever was associating with Mystic, specifically because he worships the Lord of the Mind.
Mhm.
He does have that connection to psionics.
And there was the thing said with Esther about like collecting what is theirs in a way. But that was like vague and unexplained. Correct?
Yeah. I swear I remember way long ago when that was first brought up that the identity that took that other ranger's eyes was the same one as that which took the Esther's psionics, and
It is.
and it was later confirmed that the entity that took that ranger's eyes is Ophiuchus.
Mhm.
Therefore,
Yeah.
Ophiuchus is the one taking psionics.
Ophiuchus is.
Yeah, fair.
One of whichever falls under the name kind of idea.
Yeah.
So basically, for some reason, one of the potential collective that falls under the title of Ophiuchus, we do not know if it is one, we do not know if it is many, is gathering psionic abilities from people because they deem it as their power, that it belongs to them, and it shouldn't be of those who are born with it that aren't them.
So Asha will say, as the guy just asked, like, from our best understanding with things we've learned about, memories we've traced, and experiences, Ashta glances at Esther. Some of us have had one of the entities that makes up 13. Sky, I'm sorry, can you mute? I hear myself and it's throwing me.
I can hear it too. There's a lot of
I don't
keys.
understand.
I
I'm
hear
in
my
I'm wearing
voice.
headphones. Are you
I
sure
don't
it's
either.
mine?
It might just be that the volume is loud enough that the microphone's picking it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, can you just turn your volume down a bit, if that helps?
Turn you down, that'll be okay. There we go.
Alright, well,
We'll see how it works.
from our best understanding, one of the entities that makes up 13 has been going around and either spearheading it or doing it themselves and collecting the powers of psionics in a claim that it is rightfully owing to that person or that group. And they likely have a method of it that is some sort of ship in the Astral Sea.
He kind of nods, and you feel for a second what you would recognize as his planar warrior kind of prod at you for a second and poke at your mind.
Asha kind of like back at him.
Yep, he says, well, they're not under any sort of charm or disillusion magic that I can tell. So, in that case, we finally have a target for the deaths and defilement of our people.
If you want to talk about someone who might have run into that entity firsthand. Another, sorry, what was the guy Asha trained with before? He was a,
He was another Horizon Walker, yeah.
Yeah, he was a Horizon Walker properly?
Yep.
Okay.
Just he is... There's like an old school and new school. The old school uses like the old Ranger stuff, and new school uses the new Ranger stuff. You're of new school.
Okay, and he is...
He is Horizon Walker. He's old school.
He's old school.
Yeah, the one that was blind.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, does Asha have his name? I swear
You do. I don't have it anywhere.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I wrote it
Asha-
down 2 years ago.
Yeah, Asha gives that to
Yeah.
this guy and says, this one has experience with this. I don't know to what extent, but I didn't exactly get a time to talk to him fully about it, especially not with the context I have now.
That's alright, I'll speak to him afterwards. And Esther, what title do you prefer? Mackin, of Flame, of Avaros? What would you like your title to be when I refer to you?
Of Flame, I suppose. I've never really had a title that I've been called, except for one that I've given on my own.
Then I'll use of Flame until further notice. Esther of Flame, are you another scion who I failed? Did you lose your powers?
Yes, but you did not fail me.
Every genasi who loses the powers was under my watch and is my ward, and I failed them. But
It's
tell
not
me,
sought out.
how did you survive the Psi Worm? The creature who comes to claim the lives of those who are revived. Did you see them?
Repeat that. I'm sorry. I don't understand.
The Psi Worm. It stands upon the other side and thrashes about with the soul of the dead in its mouth, keeping them from being revived. How did you survive it? Did you encounter it?
No, I didn't.
May I? Asha looks at her.
What?
He wants to give an explanation.
Because I've got a suspicion about this too.
This is actually a thing, Esther, that I don't think you were there for. I think this is when you missed a few sessions. But it wasn't technically something that you saw when you died, so.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Let's say Esther's case, I think, might be not the same kind that you're used to. However, I myself have directly engaged with something that fits the description of what you said.
Under what context? If it wasn't for Esther of Flame, then when was it?
Reviving a high-profile individual.
Were they of the desert?
Shakes his head. One of another plane, but one that was sent to be killed under orders of the Zodiacs.
Ah.
I was there for this.
Were you there for that? Okay, I couldn't quite remember.
Yeah, this is when Aquarius died, yeah, and was revived, and she was kind of getting dragged off by something.
Okay,
Yeah.
you were there for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, there's a lot I'm trying to remember right now.
No, I know. I was kind of thinking, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, sorry about that.
And Ashley just goes, I shot it till it let go.
Looks at you for a second and just goes, okay, we are of the same clan then. Skilled to be able to do that in the first place, I commend you. So, you have reason to believe that the Psi Worm, which, for reference for writing notes, it's PSIWYRM.
Oh, thank you.
You have reason to believe that 13, as I'm supposed to be calling it, has some sort of influence over this worm.
Nods.
Very well.
It's a correlation, but it's a strong one.
Then you have whatever strength I can offer to kill this 13. Or bring them to justice, or whatever needs to be done to end this fucking war. The Council's permission. The Council kind of nods forgiveness for his swear.
It was of that entity is the one that took my psionics.
Huh.
Not a worm.
So you've contacted them directly. You... Esther Flame, may I... I don't know a good common word for it. May I probe your magic for a moment?
What
May
that
I-
entails.
Simply your allowance for me to measure you. Magically.
Go ahead.
Can I actually just kind of try to get an understanding of what he's doing?
It's what he just did with the Planar Warrior.
Yep.
You
Yeah, so-
recognize that most people can't feel this happening.
Mhm.
It's similar to how you used to use Planar Warrior a lot to kind of influence magical portalic magic.
Mhm.
It seems he has, a slightly different command over it.
Hmm. Can he give a real good look at it and try to see?
He
Yeah,
doesn't
he can-
physically do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, he just looks at Esther, and you feel the magic in him flare. And Esther, you don't feel much. You just basically feel a soft buzz in your mind. And if you don't resist it, just this vague warm feeling. Kind of.
No,
towards you. Good.
she's looking at him just straight in the eye.
I assume you don't resist the magic.
No, not at all.
Then yeah, you just feel for a brief moment, you feel your ears grow a bit warm to you. And he kind of steps back, and you had potential to be an incredible scion, and regardless if you believe me to be at fault or not, I apologize that I was not able to prevent you from losing that. But
Miss something that does not truly. It was an incident that would have occurred regardless of your influence.
my influence should have been to kill this worm years ago, but I digress. You have given me the most clear information that I've gotten in years. If you have any need for me to take part in this, you have only asked, and I will do so. This is not my pledge as a council member, this is my pledge as a realm hunter. He kind of
Take
nod.
that.
Good.
No, you're good. Go on.
He just kind of nods and Ashta, if you ever need guidance on the nature of our magic, please. We are of the same school. Just ask. The Genasi, I believe, at this point have accepted you. I will do the same.
I appreciate it. Keep in mind.
He nods and returns to his seat. And the council kind of. By now, it's nearing 4 or 5 p.m. The sun has risen in the sky and has begun to drop again, and is beginning to cool down. And the empaths all kind of look between each other and, well, unless our guests have any last remarks or issues to bring up at the council, I believe we'll use the next few days to respond to the request of our Archdruid and prepare whatever we need to prepare. Do you have any last remarks?
Sir kind of looks to everybody.
I think we covered everything. I think.
We don't have any last remarks specifically for the council, but if possible, could I say something to address the entirety?
Everything said to the council is spoken to all the tribes. Please, whatever you would want to hear.
I understand that there's a lot of fear right now. That people are scared. For your loved ones, and for your children, and for your family, and for those whom fall under the same name as you. But know that things, despite how bad they may get, will be alright. Things will be done, preventative measures will be taken to assure that as many lives as possible will remain secure. And if you are fearful, and if you feel as if nobody is fighting alongside you, know that we are. That you are being thought of every single day. All of you, by somebody who is on the front lines of a lot of these fights. Know that your names are being heard. That your voices are echoing in the memory of somebody who is fighting on your behalf. Know that you are thought of. Know that you will not be forgotten. And that every measure possible will be ensured for your safety. Thank you.
And with the conclusion of the council, Esther, go ahead and roll me a mob check.
Oh, my kids. All of them? Oh, not good.
That's okay. There was this smile on a number of the council members, especially the matrons, many of which you recognize. And there's this kind of acknowledgement of your care, the heart you display. And as you all are basically dismissed to your freedom. Esther, I believe you had a few people you wanted to seek out, right?
Yeah, she needs to see specifically the High Guardian of the Liberi de Osium.
Alright. So, do you take the group with you, or are you just going on your own?
She's gonna bring Fervus.
Okay. So, as you two step away and ask the others to wait for you, you find the High Guardian. She is reminds you a little bit of your mother, in a weird way. Built a very similar way. But in a weird way, it's almost like her bones seem apparent beneath the skin. Her cheekbones aren't just prominent, but almost stick out. Her forehead isn't just wide, but it almost has this weight to it. The ridges of her eyebrows are visible beneath the hair. She's Air Genasi as well, so it's very unusual to see someone with such a sturdy frame.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks down at you and nods, and Esther of Flame, You wish to speak with me privately?
I do, yes. Myself and Fervis, we both do.
Please. Uh, However, I must ask, why can't this be brought up to the rest of the council? What do you not want to be heard?
It has something to do with There's a legend. It is common amongst the Genasi tribes, but the potential existence of the location held in this legend is something that is very highly guarded. And that is what I need to discuss with you.
And why do you have need of it?
There is knowledge in those archives that I believe may be crucial in stopping this war.
And you have evidence on this knowledge? Or simply a hunch?
Mind you, I do not know exactly what the library contains. I do not know whether the fiction of the legend is truly true, or if anything, if what I truly do seek is in there, but
What do you seek then, Esther?
shit, Conrad, what did we talk about? This is so long ago. Fuck. I forgot.
You
I
gotta make-
know. I'm trying to look it up. Give me a minute.
You can search inside the direct messages.
That's what I'm doing.
Do you want to have a quick aside, maybe?
In the meantime,
Yeah, please and please and please.
Ash's gonna
Does any of you go to another member after the meeting?
I should go see if we can find that Horizon Walker.
Yep, he's still sitting in his seat, almost expecting you.
Alright. We'll go sit down and see if anyone wants to come with him.
Rosalind will just be there with Ashta, but more as support than anything.
Yeah, Fergus doesn't really know where to go at this point.
Oh, Fervis, you're with Esther.
Yeah, probably. Most
Esther
likely.
dragged you with.
So we got Xenia, unless Xenia wants to do something else. Xenia's
Let's go buy more pillows.
Oh no.
Alright, Xenia's there.
Okay.
What chaos will Xenia get up to
Here's the second
today?
message I want to say.
Xenia flips their bag of holding inside out and a bunch of pillows explode into the meeting.
The Nazi pillow fort.
Yep.
This is so stressful. I'm trying to find this.
The church is someone insurance economy. Alright, Ash is gonna just go sit down next to him if there's a space for it.
Yeah, it's one of the council members' seat, but they stand up and let you take the seat.
Yeah, I thank him. And just what started you on the bit of the, I guess, warpath you got going here?
Well, do you want the short answer or the long answer?
Whatever you think you've got time for.
I'll keep it short. My mother was a mystic who didn't survive having her powers taken from her. So, I made it my mission to do whatever I could. Found it was from another plane, became a Horizon Walker. Chose to learn under as many as I could. For a brief time, I followed the Archer of an uncle, helped him establish peace between the Feywild and here. Some deals were made.
There's like an eyebrow raise at that.
And he kind of notices it and says, "Don't worry, I've heard of you as well. Many of us of the new school have passed through his tutelage at some point." And
Did you know about the ferry? Did you send the ferry?
no, the fairy
Okay.
was someone else. But
Just making sure.
tell me, you are a strange being. Asimar, yes?
I suppose.
Are you,
Ash just has this look of like, where are you going with this?
are you not able to manifest your planet warrior?
Explain.
And he places his palm on the ground, and rising from it is this ghostly white being, but size of him, meaning seemingly of almost what looks like smoke, wielding two swords, and eyes glowing with the swirling magic of portals. I understand it's not a skill that very many ever learn, but you're powerful without ever learning how. It's interesting.
I mean, he just like taps a finger onto the crossbow to get Essence to show up. Is this close enough?
She appears on your shoulders and just says, "Huh, you've managed to trap some of the dead to work for you. It's functional."
I found her.
Well, nice to meet you. And the Planar Warrior actually nods to her as well and says, "It is a extension of my own strength. As walkers of the horizon, sometimes need to be able to stand on both sides of it to see the full picture. Having a second set of eyes does so quite well."
I think I got part of my sinus still in the ethereal, if that counts.
I think you got that fixed.
No, you said there was still a part, like a little bit left or something. You said it wasn't perfect.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I said that was bullshit.
Oh my god.
That's right. That's right. He just kind of like, just your sinus?
I stuck my face in a portal one time.
And got left behind?
No, it swaps sides.
Well, I compliment you for finding the rest of your face, but not quite what I mean.
Actually, hold on. He actually probably still has it. It'll show him the sword,
Which one?
the one that's like partially in the ethereal, the like whip sword.
The zigzag sword.
Yep.
Whippy whip.
And he kind of takes a look at it and says, "This is a beautiful piece, but again, not quite what I mean. Here." He places his hand out for you to take really fast. Press your fingertips to mine.
Okay, and he lightly taps.
So, as you press your fingertips together, you feel your wings almost like they were about to pop out, but instead they don't. Instead, this about 6-inch tall angel appears next to you. This tiny little butter knife of a sword. And he says, "Oh, it has all of its limbs first try. Well done.
The fuck is this?
That's your
Oh,
planar-
it's
that's your planar warrior."
so. No, I thought he was 6 feet tall.
6 inches.
Oh, 6 inches. Oh, he's tiny.
It's immature. It's not a power you've practiced very often, but it has all of its limbs and it has wings.
Of course.
Oh, right. I kind of train my wings into my planar stuff.
Well, I imagine if you ever tried to channel it through yourself rather than through your ancestry, well, he takes his fingers away and the planar warrior remains where it is. We at least know how. So, Ashton, if you ever want to continue training your planar warrior, that was the next step.
Huh. Asher's just gonna see if he can't have the little guy, like, attuned to a certain plane or something, since he's got that going.
Plane
And the little guy's wings. He'll do air. He has the most experience with air.
Okay, roll me a concentration check.
So, like a con save?
Yep.
Alright.
With any bonuses, you have to concentration. Okay, 12. You kind of try to shape the magic. It's difficult. It's not reactive. And you see the warrior kind of focus for a minute, put both their hands together like they're about to do a Kamehameha blast, and like gesture it towards you, and it just gets like gust of wind that blows your hair.
Huh.
And he kind of like looks at it and smiles and says, "Huh, you are strange, even for one of our clan. But, well, either your instincts for this are quite powerful, or you are a prodigy.
What's the difference?
One is born that way, one you can train. Your instincts you weren't born with, you honed them. One is, well, you're just an Aasimar who's naturally attuned to summoning ethereal warriors who can attune to other planes of themselves, which I find less likely than the idea that you've trained very effectively.
Asher goes into the shirt and takes out Rayla and puts Rayla beside the planar warrior.
Rayla is actually taller than the planar warrior.
Hmm.
Invisible, but taller.
A little invisible thing just right next.
Then he looks. You actually see him look down at Rayla and says, "Oh, a pixie?
Oh, you can see that.
Yes, I do my best to keep an eye out on things."
It's
Just trying to
sent
make friends.
sent by the Archdruid. She is.
The former Archdruid, I assume.
Yes. Capital the.
That's all right. I just want to check in case you were old friends with our local desert Archdruid.
Does that one usually send fairies to people?
No, but he's been known to do stranger things.
Okay. Have you ever interacted with the one I mentioned before? The one with experience with 13?
I'm sure we've been adjacent to each other once or twice, but well, unless it was during a time I don't remember quite well, it probably would have been when I was helping out the Archdruid.
You'll probably find an ally in him if kicking the culprit's ass is your prerogative.
Well, I plan to make a small fleet of those like us, but as I'm sure you're aware, us realm knights, realm hunters, glimmers, archdruids cannot cross the plane boundaries due to the zodiac's influence.
Mhm.
So I may have to leave it in someone else's hands.
Do you know if that's just the current ones or
I couldn't say, though.
those who hold the title?
I imagine it's something to do with the title, as soon as the new archdruid to replace the old archdruid came into his position, he was no longer able to cross planar boundaries into the inner planes.
All right. Okay. Personal request. Don't put me on that list.
If you think this problem is going to be solved after I die, you are sorely mistaken. Don't worry. I will kill and be revived many times before I give up this position without it being solved.
Sounds good.
So, cutting back to Esther and the High Guardian as you kind of look at your little toddler of a planar warrior.
the little tiny guy will just walk over to Rosalind and say hello.
Just
Possible.
wait. It's cute. Also, Esther, you are muted. You are talking. Unless Scott stepped away for a second.
I forgot about that. Fuck.
So as we switch over
Alright.
to Esther and the Guardian with Furnace. Yeah. So, go ahead, Esther.
I need to see the matriarchal lines.
For whom?
For me.
Oh, that's not the answer I was expecting. How come? How is this to assist you?
Something isn't right with me. I don't know what it is. My psionics were taken away, and by all account I should be dead. But I'm not. And instead I came back with a power entirely different. Why, I do not know. But from very, very high powers that I have spoken to, which includes not one, not two, but 3 separate gods who, for some reason, have an interest in me that I cannot explain, have said that something in my lineage might be an answer.
And you are no sorcerer, though, are you?
No, I'm not. From what I can tell, I'm not a sorcerer. I don't know. I just want answers. And I know that this place holds them. I know that this place can help me understand more about Genasi history, so I can make better arguments as to why the Genasi should not go back to the other planes. Something bad is going to happen if they return. I don't have proof, but I know it. And I cannot stand by and watch when I know that the answers I so desperately seek are in a place that I do not know how to reach.
She kind of smiles at you and says, well, at the very least, I trust your intentions. How about this? will you allow me to place you under a spell of promise, I suppose? The requirement for this knowledge, such that if you speak to this to anyone who I have not deemed worthy of the knowledge, that you will forget the knowledge before you manage to finish the sentence.
I can agree with.
And Fervus, will you agree to a similar vow to not spread this knowledge of the Library of the Genasi to anyone?
Yes, I would agree to it as well.
Then each of you come here and place your foreheads against my palms. So she basically puts them both outwards, one to each of you.
Esther will do as she says.
Fergus will do so.
Ashta, from across the room, Zinnia as well, you notice these two put their hands against the palms of the High Guardian of the Osindoteri, the hosting tribe. And you're like, oh, okay, some sort of ritual. And then you watch the High Guardian stick their hands through the skull of your allies as it just sinks in this golden light. Fergus and Esther, you feel an almost unlocking in your mind, and the Fane begin to buzz happily at this. They start kind of giving you the diagnostic report that basically she just took one of the ancestral memories that all Genasi have and unlocked it so that they could read it as well as you.
Quick fade over to the two of them, like, yo, what the fuck?
And as she removes her hands
Okay,
from each of
okay.
the inside of your brains, there's like the golden light fading. She says, well, your allies will be able to follow you, but only the ones who showed up to this meeting. I do not trust the rest. And
That
if
is-
you get to the library, be warned. It's not something we control anymore.
What do you mean?
There are things that have taken residence within
What kind
that
of
we
thing?
have been unable to remove. We believe some sort of powerful lich has taken over the library.
If these entities are cleared, would that be acceptable?
We've been trying to for years, but if you can, please, we haven't had the time to bring forth an attack of strength enough to keep the knowledge in the library safe. Much of
I-
our magic is
Lich, correct?
destructive. Destructive magic could harm the books and scrolls within. So
I'm
please,
sorry, you said a lich?
of some sort of powerful undead, we believe, as they've lived for over 2,000 years in there.
Okay.
1,000 years. Then how is our recent knowledge being stored?
The magic works on its own. We simply can't access it. Not without risking life and limb to sneak in there and hope we leave undetected.
And I shall risk life and limb. I do ask that my three friends.
They will be
They
allowed to
being-
learn the knowledge, yes.
Thank you. That is all I ask, for I do not wish to waste such a very, very gracious gift.
Oh, don't worry. And you look around you. This entire conversation, there's no other sound that you can hear. You can only hear the High Guardian. It says, this is a conversation of only those of our, let's call it our frequency, our vibration, can hear.
Okay.
They will be allowed to hear it as well when you speak it to them, but only those three. Okay?
Stood.
Esther Mackin, Fervus Mackin, good luck. And please, keep our library intact.
Yes.
Of course. And also kind of turn to Fervus as the dude is sort of kind of walking away, or she's like walking away and just, do you understand why I brought you and only you alongside me?
I'd assume some sort of.
Ooh, you're robot-y.
You're a bit far away from the mic, John.
Oh, sorry. I'd assume some sort of racially defined purpose?
No. You are a Genasi, and despite what you grew up around, this is your culture. And out of anybody in the group, you would be the one to know the legend of the library. Do you know the legend? So, Fervis, you would know.
Would I?
Is he roboting for anybody else?
He
Oh
is
my God,
heavily.
am I? Oh,
Yes.
fucking.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Hello?
Ah,
There we go.
that's better.
Okay. Conrad, would I?
I think he would. Yeah, Conrad?
He's muted.
Oh, okay.
We lost the
So for the sake of things,
I don't know. He's.
John, you would know.
I don't.
I know. I'm going to explain to you why you would know.
All right,
The
Would
legend
I
of the
know this?
No, what? Sorry, I just.
The Legend of the Library.
Roll me a history check.
Never mind.
I mean, I'm plus 12. The
Well, that's irony.
20.
I bring the one for.
20. You have heard like a couple of things about libraries. Mostly, the closest thing you remember is a story of Genasi lore keepers who have been hidden away for the sake of preserving the Genasi if anything were to ever happen, but nothing specifically of a library.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a library, but I've heard of lore keepers.
All right. So I'll gather the group and I'll break this down into a way that can be understood. Come with me.
Okay.
And she'll kind of gather the group, and there's something that we need to discuss.
Right.
Well,
And she,
all right.
privately, if possible, follow me, would you? And she'll just kind of leave
As
the
we
group.
walk, you want to explain what that last thing was?
Oh, she unlocked ancestral memories. I'll explain when we get somewhere private again.
By sticking her fingers through your sinuses?
Magic works in different ways. Your sinus is in the ethereal plane,
Yes, and I know where it is. And that was my own doing.
and I know where her hand is, and I trust her.
Ashta, magic is strange. We know this. She just pats him on the face and you keep
Just
going.
hope she didn't leave a fingernail in there or something.
Ashta, really?
Put that out into the world, because that.
Ashta?
The brains.
Ashta,
Hmm.
you would do well not to insult somebody of that standing in my tribe. Even as a joke, something like that, a slander against the magic that they use, can be taken seriously. So please, be very careful as to the sort of things that you say.
Alright.
Now come on, we're almost inside. And she'll kind of lead them into where her family's been staying, shut the door, and just... All right. It's time for a story. There is a legend that goes around many of the Genasi tribes. It is known as the legend of the Library of Lore. The Library of Bones is also another name for it. The Liberd Osium is a tribe that is associated very much with secrecy. They are what is known as keepers of lore and knowledge. They document most things for Genasi. Long ago, when the Genasi first came to this plane, when my people first stepped foot, as they were getting accustomed to the place that they surrounded, they decided that there was to be a safe house of some sort. A place where the knowledge of their new findings and their new environments, of their first steps on this place, must be kept. And that is how the library came into existence. And over the years, every major event for Genasi, every birth of a new matriarchal line, every continuation of a matriarchal line, from what I've From what I know, there are compendiums of history, timelines, a set of records about Panacea from a very different point of view. Something that may be very, very important in understanding a different side of this war. Detailed writings of rituals and spells that I'm hoping might exist within there, but mainly matriarchal lines. Have I ever explained to you the importance of a matriarchal line?
I would assume that it has something to do with lineage, family history, but any deeper or more specific importance I don't believe has been mentioned.
Okay, so, and Esther will pull out the stone that is on a rope around her neck and basically kind of gesture to the symbol. This is my family name. The symbol that is on it is of the Maccan bloodline. It is a very old... Huh? Sorry, did you say something?
No, I think he just bumped his mic.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just accidentally bumped the bottom of my desk.
Sorry, I thought you were trying to...
No.
This Maccan bloodline specifically is one of the oldest. When the first female of a generation gives birth to another female, that stone is passed down. It goes on from mother to mother to mother, and through that lineage and through that documentation, I suppose, we can track some of the oldest bloodlines in Genasi history, at least on the material plane. And that is what I'm looking for. For me, personally. However, again, this place is quote-unquote legend. However, I do know that it is existence. I know it's real. I know for reasons that are unimportant, but we have just been given permission to access its location, which is very big. However, apparently, something big and powerful has been inhabiting the library for the last 2,000 years. And nobody knows what it is. The council members haven't been able to breach it. They don't know. So it would be a fight to get to it. But the knowledge in there is most certainly worth it. Again, that is the legend of the library. That is why she stuck her hand in my head, as well as Fervis's. I had assumed Fervis knew the legend. That was my mistake. But regardless, that is why it is so important.
Well, sounds like we have yet another interesting place to visit.
Another one on the list.
I'll put it in a different way then too. All of the platinum on this continent cannot compare to the worth of the knowledge that is inside that place. The amount of history and perspectives and understanding that we might be able to gain from knowledge that hasn't been seen in so long, I have a theory that it is recorded, documented events of things that have happened in Panacea. What if there are things about the Zodiacs that we don't know about in there? They are tied to the elemental planes. What if other incidents have occurred in our past that nobody now is old enough to remember? Things that may not have been deemed important to the ones who ruled back then because they were not of elemental blood.
So there could be some stuff there, but let's ignore the part about the lich for now and say we're able to get in there. If there's really as much information as you say there is, how are we going to parse it? Which, even with Fane and this many of us, we can't just sit there for days looking for something.
No,
Ashta, go ahead and give me a Arcana check, but you can use Wisdom. So if you have proficiency, use proficiency.
All right. my wisdom without. Dragon Chest, I guess.
Okay.
15.
You have spells like Locate Object that could very comfortably basically say, give me a book about this, and it would give you the closest thing to it.
Hmm.
Oh, shit. Speaking of that, there's something I have to do later. I'm not sending us on a wild goose chase. I know that I don't know what to expect here. I don't know what the building looks like. I don't know what its layout is. I don't know what's inside. I don't know how things are organized. But I do know that information goes there via magic. And one thing that magic can be is very helpful in finding things. I'm sure that there is a very set way to organize and find things in this library.
So you don't know the internal layout, and you don't know exactly what we're running into. How can we find that out?
I'll have to speak again to the Guardian. She's the only one who knows the location.
Because if there's anything like a lich in there, like hell, you saw how close to a call we got with that fucking beholder back there.
And
Not wandering into a den of undeath without knowing what we're getting into.
it would only be us.
We couldn't bring the
That is-
squads.
We cannot.
So doubly so then.
As well as we are not capable of speaking about what we learn inside this library to anybody but the ones standing right now in this room. Otherwise, the information will be erased from your mind. That is the promise that Purvis and I had to make. Specifically for us, but I'm pretty sure that that magic may apply to you as well, considering you are approved by the Guardian. You have to understand that this information is very powerful, and in the wrong hands, it can prove devastating for the Genasi.
And what
There's a-
happens if that information could end this war? But only if it's shared.
Yeah,
Mind
there's like
you-
a scrunch up on Ash's face.
If the information could end the war, it has to be discussed with the High Guardian. Even she does not know everything that is inside that library. But if we discover something and it is brought to her, I'm sure she would be more than willing to lift the promise. It is more so just so that if we learn something, we don't just go sharing it without regard, I suppose. It's a caution.
And what happens if she doesn't think that the information we find is something that should be shared?
I'm sure she can be convinced. I'm in fact
hope
more than
you're right.
positive. Ashta, the fact that she even trusted us in the first place speaks volumes. This is one of the most guarded secrets of the Genasi culture. Please understand that.
Just wondering where the trust for us begins and the trust for us to clear that place out ends. That's all. It's still important information and it's still valuable to the culture, but our personal motivations might be more or less a factor here. Not to speak on her character or anything of the sort, just
No, you're right, I know.
and
Again,
I'm not gonna hold my tongue on this. People holding positions of power doesn't mean make them infallible. It's the whole problem with the druids in the first place.
I do agree to that. And you know I agree to that. I'm simply saying that the reason for this promise, this magical pact, is solely so that certain pieces of information don't get mass distributed. There are things in there that could be incredibly sacred, hold very intense magical meaning. And I'm afraid that if something were to get out, the druids may even use it to push further control on my people. If we find something of value to this war, which I'm positive we will bring it up with the Guardian. who I'm sure will understand. Just put your faith in me, at least for that.
Well, how would you like this list to be prioritized? Because I believe that we also have a couple of artifacts to search for that you have interest in. We have a peace treaty to continue to organize, though we are at a bit of a standstill for that, so admittedly, if we wish to do something else in the meantime...
We have a war to keep dealing with.
that is us dealing with the war.
Apparently, we've got eyes on us at all times.
Oh, that also reminds me, for the peace treaty, the Genasi tribes are going to be represented. Should we reach out in any way to the organizers of the rebellion? See if perhaps some of their wishes may be met at the same time, or would that be too much on one plate?
That sounds like a mess.
It does, but...
I'd like to go speak to the rebellion, actually.
perhaps
I'm-
not to invite them to the treaty. To the
But
talks,
simply to
but,
speak.
to see if perhaps something could be worked towards in the future?
To know where they stand.
I think their name kind of tells you where they stand, don't they?
It
I don't
does.
mean necessarily with the druids.
But if we can find out if they have any wishes that might actually be achieved at the same time as we have this peace treaty with the Zodiacs, it could be a very convenient time to put them forward with all of the archdruids gathered and perhaps in the mindset of looking towards peace above all.
Only if we can filter it.
Yes.
If we go to the north, may we perhaps segregate a day that I may go seek an artifact?
Oh, I would have planned on it. Just, we would have been in the area. I'm just wondering what we should do next. How long are we staying with the gathering, Esther? At least
Gathering is
long
set
enough.
to go on for about 4 weeks. We won't be staying for the entirety. That would be ludicrous, and we have far too much to do.
Well, at least
Though
long
it would
enough
be enjoyable.
At least long enough to hear the council's answer. I believe they
Oh.
were still deliberating and said they would get back to us.
The deliberations will take at least within the next few days. I would say, Conrad, what day are we on right now? 2?
The second.
Thank you. Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
Today is the second day. Tomorrow is... Oh, I remember what tomorrow is. Tomorrow is a festival that I believe all of you will enjoy. Specifically, the couples, in a sense, but then she kind of looks to Senior Ashton. That is something that I would like you all to experience. Perhaps around the 6th day, I would suppose that they may give us an answer. They are very thorough in their deliberations. It does take time.
So, do we stay here for 4 days? Do we stay for 1 and then do something else in return?
I would like to stay. I'd like you to be able to experience this. Truly.
Isn't there some more
experience it.
trouble coming here too?
I'd also like to stay because I don't trust the druids. That archdruid, I respect him, and he does have my trust, but the others I do not. And there are people here that need to also be spoken to. And she kind of makes a look towards Vervis. People of importance to emotional health.
Yes.
So I would advise that we stay for a little while longer, please?
Yes. Of course.
I know it's a tad selfish, but this is also something I've looked forward to for a very long time.
I wouldn't want to take it from you.
I just want you all to be able to see. I've spent time in your culture and your society for so long. It's nice to be back somewhere that's at least a bit familiar.
Mhm.
You
Well,
guys hear a slight on your front door, little tip tap.
So I'll open it.
You see a vulture sitting there. Looks up at you and just ah!
Oh, okay. That scared me, actually, Conrad.
kind of walks in the room and starts looking at you and go caw, 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 and then
Humans, please.
turns into the Archdruid. Sorry.
Thank you.
Wrong form. Hi there. Remember me, Archdruid? Yes? Yes?
No, you don't look familiar at all.
I've
Oh,
never
that's a
seen you
shame.
before in my life.
I might have got the wrong door. You guys are the Council of Zodiacal Matters, right?
Never heard that before. in my life.
No.
Never heard
No,
that
we
name,
are
I'm
not.
sorry.
No.
I believe that we were, however, the Council of, and she says the word for something, but translated to primordial.
Alright, he kind of looks at it and just goes, alright. Yeah, okay, you're fucking with me.
Mhm.
I'm doing the big fancy spell now. You guys want to do it here?
Is there anywhere else you would prefer?
Not really. Just want to make sure I have permission to be here first.
Of course, this is my home.
Oh, sweet. He kind of looks at it, says, Hippie! And you see the Archdruid of Dreams kind of step through the door like, hey!
Ah, hello. I didn't realize you were here.
That was quick.
I'm an Archdruid.
Get in contact more than anything.
You just send a dream spell.
Some of you are a bit
Wait,
more
then why is he a
difficult to
vulture?
contact.
What do you mean, why is he? He just likes being a vulture. It's fast.
He's vibing.
You have wings. You ever been a vulture? It's cool. You ever fly in a
He's-
dream? It's awesome.
I fly my own.
Oh, lucky.
Regardless, we have a dream spell to do, apparently.
Ah, yes.
And,
He kind of smiles, and the Dreams Druid looks at him, and the Archdruid of the Desert kind of looks at him and says, hold on. And he looks out to each of you, and you all hear inside your mind, would you like to commingle?
oh, bugger.
Caffeine!
Alright.
Yep.
Rosalind sighs and opens her contact book.
Yep,
This
and
is
you all
out loud,
swap
too.
vision again. And the Dream Druid kind of looks and says, oh! That explains a lot.
You have
So.
Fane. Which one of you has Fane?
It's the Archdruid of the Desert.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
the Dream
How does she
Druid
get
also has
Fane?
Fane.
Yep.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah,
Yep.
the Dream Druid got Fane from Issa because he's dating her.
Yep.
Oh my god,
I'm
wait a
gonna
minute.
I'm gonna look at the Desert Archdruid and go, did you get them from the old
No, I've
Archdruid
had-
or from...
I've had them for, oh god. What year is it?
Fair enough,
We
I
say
was
the
just
year.
wondering the source.
I've had
Thanks.
them for like, well, you guys are what, 20-something, right?
We have an elf among us.
133. Elf. I think you were just born when I got it. Yeah, gives you a high five.
You look great for somebody
I-
who's in their 130.
Oh, I'm in my like
Archdruid.
300th year.
Good for you.
Druids do that, don't they?
Yep,
Team
10
Elf?
times the lifespan.
Just
What?
for druids?
Yeah, when you
Archdruid.
get the 20th level feature being an Archdruid, your lifespan multiplies by 10.
I think that was like level 18.
Is it 18? It's a high level one, regardless.
Well, in that case, wait a minute. You're the one who's dating Issa.
Not
The-
the
the
Archdruid
Dream
of the
Druid.
Desert. The Dream
Yes.
Druid is.
This is pointed to the Dream Druid.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and he nods like, yeah. I've
Ah.
had pain for like 3 weeks if it helps.
Esther's gonna just kind of pat his shoulder and just welcome. and good luck. You're going to need it. Because anybody associated with this group has shit happen to them in some way, shape, or form.
If
And
they
this
have-
man,
If they have a
deserves a
kid,
warning.
it's gonna be a whack.
if just honestly, it's just gonna. If you have children, be warned. They will be weird.
We've already got a kid, and it's fuzzy and it's cute.
Yes, but
That kid's
Again.
already weird too.
Yeah.
I give you. She'll walk you in a bath.
The desert druid is just smiling this, by the way. He says, "So, shall we go knock on the doors of every other archdruid in the land?"
Please, because they need to fucking answer.
All right, come and go with me real fast. Look through my eyes if you can.
I'll do so.
But
All right.
sorry.
And as you look through his eyes, you watch as he begins casting a spell, and he presses both hands to the sandy floor of this house. And suddenly you all are in a number of places at once. As you watch forms of yourself made out of sand rise, surrounding each of the archdruids. Some of them are asleep. Some of them are midway through a fight, through a meal. All now have a lot more sand around them than they used to. They all look at the archdruid, they nod to him, and you hear a number of greetings. It's a lot of stuff to process at once. The Fane kind of help change how you interpret it, so it feels like it's happening one after the other. And as you basically get the first interpretation, that is standing inside the throne room of the Goblinoid army. Wait, nope, that one's dead. Wrong one. Citadel. Sorry, wrong one. I think we will leave the discussions with the archdruids for next time,
Okay.
as you will basically get a few minutes to speak to each of the archdruids and try to convince them to your side.
Yo,
Alright.
bitch, answer the phone. Stop leaving us on red.
Basically, this is the equivalent of someone wasn't answering your phone, so you showed up inside their bedroom at 3 a.m.
Pretty
Well,
much. I mean, answer. God
If
damn it.
works.
It works.
Mm. All right. So
It's also the thing of you need to ask them something and they haven't been answering your calls, so you show up in their bedroom and say, "Hey, I'm gonna steal your fridge."
I'm gonna steal your
if you-
fridge if you don't answer me, asshole.
mhm.
Hey, you want us to shut down your fucking economy? Then answer.
Actually, no, it's not even to steal your fridge. It's, hey, I'm gonna freeze your assets. Pick up the phone. asshole.
Literally, hey, you want your entire economy to crumble? No. Answer
I
the
will
fucking
eat your credit
text.
card.
So what I'm hearing is the Desert Archdruid is the ultimate divorce layer.
Hey, oh my god,
mean-
what was that thing? It was like, you don't know
Okay,
love
guys,
until
am
you,
I-
like,
Yeah,
see-
we will end the
sorry.
recording here.
Am I rending this thing yet? Okay.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Till then.